Hi everyone, this is Surendra Aderu. I'm a cloud solution architect. I have around 15 years of experience into entire infrastructure area. As part of today's Azure technical series, we're going to discuss about Azure cost optimization techniques. So when it comes to a cloud, so we are tend to use a cloud services, but at the same time the cost also shoots up, and then we didn't realize that we are spending a huge amount, and there are options to optimize those cost in the cloud area. When it comes to Azure specific, or it is also can be used across the cloud areas. So we have these options to optimize the cost, that is Azure reservations, savings plan, right sizing the workloads, and unused resources decommissioning, Azure hybrid benefit, and also auto start and stop the virtual machines. Let's go through this each and every topic in detail, understanding, and then apply these techniques in your environment to bring down the cost. Let's talk about the Azure reservations. So Azure reservations is something where we need to commit or reserve the virtual machine compute like CPU and memory of the workloads to the Microsoft. Let's say if we are committing for 1 year and 3 years, we'll be getting a discounted price for it. For example, if we are paying $100 for one virtual machine for 1 month, with the reservations, with a 1 year reservation, we can bring down that cost to 30% discounted by paying only $70. And if we are committing or reserving this compute for 3 years, it's going to come down around 60 to 70% as well based on the Azure region. So let me show you quickly how that typically works. If you could see here, this is my Azure pricing calculator. Here I have chosen a region as East US with the Windows machine. Let me select, let's say D4 as V6, that is 4 core 16 GB of RAM. If you could see the pay-as-you-go model, I'm paying with the license $281, right, per month. If you could, this is what I'm referencing as a reservations. If I go with 1 year of a reservation, you could see the cost is came down from $225 from 280. If you go for 3 years, we could see the discounted price as $191. Right here we have an option of paying these reservations like upfront. You can pay that entire 1 month discounted price to the Microsoft. If not, we have an option of paying upfront like every month, by the same cost can be paid monthly as well. So instead of paying entire amount upfront for 1 year or 3 years, we can also pay it by monthly as well. This is all about the reservations. When it comes to reservations, if you go for creation of a reservation, this reservation is not only meant for a virtual machines. You could see these are all the compute services which we could reserve. Let's say virtual machines, mainly the costliest, and databases. We have all other remaining services also, like app services, managed disk, storage, file share, social Linux. Like this, like we have a wide area of services which we support for reservations. So as I mentioned earlier, reservations is meant to committing to Microsoft to use for a 1 year or a 3 year period, so that we'll be getting a discounted price accordingly of, let's say, 1 year we are getting for 38%, and then 3 years we are getting for a 61% of a price variation. The next topic is the savings plan. The savings plan is something where, so the reservation we have discussed to apply only on a virtual machine on certain workloads. The savings plan will help us like taking out that restriction of only committing to a virtual machine, a sizing in a region, in a subscription, right? For a, the savings plan will be applied across the workloads. It can be a virtual machine, it can be a database, across the regions, across the resource groups. There is no limitation. So here we just need to commit for the hourly commitment, how much we are going to commit for the for this particular savings plan. If you could see for the same virtual machine ES2S, so instead of going for reservations, we have an option of considering a savings plan. You could notice this, the discounted from a reservations to savings plan, it is slightly reduced, but however, it has its own benefit of no need to have a restriction scope like reservation. Savings plan can work across the regions, across the services in entire Azure environment. Here we just commit like per hourly. Let's say for 1 hour in Azure cloud we are spending, let's say we are generating the cost of $1,000, we are committing the services for a $500 hourly. For that $500 will be getting discounted of 1 year savings plan 31%, and 3 year savings plan we are getting a 54% of a discount. This is how it does typically works. Let me quickly show you how we can create the savings plan. If we just navigate to the portal, saving plan, if you can add or purchase now, here you can name it based on our requirement. So it just automatically created a name for it. This is where I'm referencing to billing subscription. You can, this is Azure Cloud Hub is my subscription. So in this case, it is not eligible because of this free tab. But when it comes to the enterprise agreement, CSP, all those subscriptions will be supported. Here you have apply the eligibility. You could see, right, shared across the subscriptions, only the in the subscription specific resource group or a management group level as well. So here, what will happen when you are selecting management group level, irrespective of a region, irrespective of a compute engine or a service which we use in Azure, as the term we commit like 3 years or a 1 year. So here the hourly commitment in USD, let's say here we are entering $1,000 or $500 per hourly commitment. That amount will be get discounted. Again, this can be the frequency of this payment can be done monthly or all upfront also can be paid, let's say based on 1 year or 3 year term, right? This is all about the savings plan. And here is a quick differentiation between the Azure savings plan versus reserved instances. This is my GitHub repository where I'm maintaining the detailed description of this, whatever the content we are discussing as part of this video. The content will be available, the detailed description with the examples, the details will be available in this repository. I'm going to share this GitHub repository link in the description of this video as well. The next one is we have right sizing the workloads. So right sizing the workloads is typically, I'm referring to continuously monitoring the workloads. Let's say if we're having the monitoring solution in place and we are having the statistics of the CPU memory utilizations. Let's say if we're validating for last 3 months CPU and memory minimum, maximum, and average utilizations, so that accordingly we can tune those sizings. Let's say for our virtual machines, we have assigned 4 core 16 GB of a memory, and at any point in time, it is not even used 30%, 40% of its memory or a CPU. There is no reason to keep that sizing for that virtual machine, so that we can bring down or resizing that workload, so that we can bring down the cost up to 50%. Next option is unused resources decommissioning. So this is something like when we create the like services in Azure, we often forget to decommission those unused resources. So it is highly recommended to view all the resources which are unused or orphan resources and then process based on the existing organization processes. So if you could make them decommissioning, it will help you out with the reducing the cost which are not in use typically. And next option we have Azure Hybrid Benefit. This is something when we are creating a virtual machine with the Windows operating system, the license cost will be different and a compute cost is different. So whatever the cost optimization techniques which we talked about Azure reservations, right? This is purely apply on a compute engine. Let's say whatever the reservations which we are doing on CPU and memory, it is not apply on the Windows Server licensing. So with the Azure Hybrid benefit, we can have an option of reducing our cost by applying this Azure Hybrid benefit. So for this to use in our environments, we should have the Azure Hybrid software assurance. The licensing should be enabled. So without having software assurance, the licenses cannot be used in Azure cloud environment. Here you could see, right? So pay as you go model for the same virtual machine, if I'm paying for $281, here if you could see the OS is Windows, the license is included. So this cost is license plus the compute engine cost, that is 4 core and 16 GB of RAM. Here we are paying up to $81. When you are utilizing the Azure hybrid benefit by bringing our own license, which are with software assurance enabled, the cost can bring down up to 50%. You could see $147. So the 50% we are paying for the licensing, 50% we are paying for the compute engine. So if at all we are already owning our licenses with SA enabled, we can make use of them in Azure cloud environment to reduce the cost. Next one is auto start or stop the virtual machines. So this is mainly applied on non-production workloads where the services will not be in use for 24/7. So for that kind of a workloads, we have an option of automatically start and stop the virtual machines so that the actual cost can bring down up to 50%. Let me give an example. If you're having a virtual machine, let's say 4 core and 16 GB is assigned, you are paying for $280 per month, and that virtual machine will be typically used by your developers, and developers is working only, let's say 9 to 9 or 9 to 6, hardly 9 hours or 12 hours in a day. Rest remaining 12 hours, if they are not in using those workloads, we can automatically stop the virtual machine, let's say 9 p.m., and then start the virtual machine in the morning 9 a.m. In that way, the virtual machine is typically running for 12 hours instead of 24 hours. The cost which we are seeing in the Azure pricing calculator, the $280 per month cost is running 24 hours in a day into 30 days. That is 720 hours of a cost. When you're bringing down the cost for a half of it, let's say 12 hours a day, the cost will come down to your 148 or $140 around. It will come down. It means you are cutting down your cost up to 50%. I assume that if you want to further optimize this cost, where the virtual machine is running for only 12 hours, and then you want to further optimize that cost, we can apply the reservations for the 12 hours by taking the reservation instead of taking the full size. Let's say the virtual machine is deployed, let's say 4 core 16 GB of a memory, it is using or it is up and running only for 12 hours, we can use the reservation for a 2 core and 8 GB, so that instead of buying a reservation for a full size of 4 core 16 GB, we can buy a reservation of 2 core and 8 GB, so half the size of actual instance. So that what will happen when you run 1 hour of this 4 core 16 GB, you can utilize 2 hours of 2 core 8 GB of a reservations. In that way, you can further bring down that $147 of a cost to the 30% or 60% based on the reservation of 1 year or 3 years. Right? Hope you have got the understanding of this. So let me quickly kind of review this technique. Start, auto start and stop the virtual machine. So we will stop the workloads and run only for 12 hours. The 12 hours will help us in bringing down the cost for 50%. To further optimize, you can go for a reservation of the half the compute of the actual size, so that that will be utilized for 24 hours, even though if you run for 12 hours, and will be getting benefited of reservation discount of 1 year or 3 years, respectively of 30% or a 60% of a discount. Yeah. Hope you guys like this content. If you like, please subscribe and share and like this video. If you have any questions, feel free to comment in this video. And also, you can always send me an email at aerucloudhub@gmail.com for any of your queries or questions. If you're looking out, kind of reviewing infrastructure or looking for any kind of a service to optimize your cost in your environment.